In 1884, a Japanese delegation brought a gift to the World's Fair in New Orleans. It was a flower, purple, delicate, beautiful. Visitors called it the most stunning aquatic plant they had ever seen. Within 100 years, that same flower would be classified as one of the most dangerous organisms on Earth. Governments would spend billions trying to destroy it. Military forces would be deployed against it. Scientists would call it the world's worst aquatic weed. Today, it is illegal to possess in multiple countries, banned across American states. Listed as a federal noxious weed, treated like a biological weapon. But here is what they are not telling you. This plant purifies contaminated water faster than any technology we have built. It produces more biomass per acre than any crop humans cultivate. It absorbs heavy metals that poison communities. It can be eaten, it can fuel vehicles, it can feed livestock, it can fertilize soil. And it has no natural predators on 5 continents. They are not afraid of it because it is dangerous. They are afraid of it because it is too useful to control. This is the water hyacinth, Eichhornia crassipes, the plant they declared war on because it threatened to solve problems that industries profit from. Welcome to nature's blacklist. Before we open this vault, understand what you are about to hear. This is not a story about an invasive species. This is forensic evidence of how systems built on scarcity respond when abundance appears uninvited and refuses to die. Let us begin with why they want you to fear this plant. Number 1. The plant that cannot be killed. The water hyacinth has no natural predators outside its native Amazon basin. Let that statement register. No insects in North America evolved to eat it. No diseases in Africa evolved to kill it. No fish in Asia evolved to control it. For 140 years, 5 continents have tried to destroy this plant. It is still winning. A single water hyacinth plant can produce 3,000 daughter plants in 50 days. 3,000. Under optimal conditions, a colony doubles its coverage in 12 days. In peak summer growth, some populations double in under a week. The mathematics of exponential growth become terrifying when nothing in the ecosystem can slow it down. One plant introduced to a lake today becomes 1 million plants within a year. The numbers explain why governments panic. They do not explain why governments lie about what this plant actually does. Because while they tell you it is destroying ecosystems, they are not mentioning that it is cleaning water faster than any filtration system ever invented. While they tell you it is killing fish, they are not mentioning those fish were dying from pollution the hyacinth was trying to remove. While they tell you it is a menace, they are not mentioning that this menace is one of the most nutritious livestock feeds on Earth. The fear campaign has a purpose, and that purpose is not protecting you. Number 2, the water purifier they banned. This is the part that should make you question every headline you have ever read about this plant. Water hyacinth is one of the most effective water purification systems nature has ever produced. Its roots absorb nitrogen and phosphorus at rates that make wastewater treatment plants look primitive. Sewage, agricultural runoff, industrial contamination. The plant absorbs it all. Studies document water hyacinth, removing up to 95% of nitrogen from contaminated water, up to 90% of phosphorus. The same pollutants that treatment facilities spend billions processing, this plant removes for free. But it gets more remarkable. Water hyacinth absorbs heavy metals, lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, chromium, toxic metals that poison water supplies across the developing world. The plant pulls them out of the water and stores them in its tissues. This process is called phytoremediation, using plants to clean contaminated environments. Water hyacinth is one of the most effective phytoremediators ever discovered. Industrial wastewater that would cost millions to treat conventionally can be processed by water hyacinth ponds at a fraction of the cost. Communities downstream of mining operations, where heavy metals contaminate drinking water, could deploy water hyacinth as a biological filter. The technology exists. The research is documented. The implementation would cost almost nothing, and yet, this plant is banned, classified as noxious, made illegal to possess in many jurisdictions. The water treatment industry generates $73 billion annually. Water hyacinth threatens to make their infrastructure obsolete. You are beginning to understand why the fear campaign was necessary. Number 3, the livestock feed they suppress. Here is what agricultural researchers discovered and industry buried. Water hyacinth is one of the most productive animal feeds on the planet. Freshwater hyacinth contains 18 to 25% protein on a dry weight basis. This is comparable to alfalfa, the standard high-quality forage crop. But water hyacinth produces biomass at rates alfalfa cannot match. 1 hectare of water hyacinth can produce over 200 tons of fresh biomass annually. 200 tons. No land crop comes close to this productivity. Researchers have fed water hyacinth to cattle, pigs, goats, sheep, chickens, ducks, and fish. The results are consistent. Animals fed water hyacinth gain weight. They remain healthy. They produce meat, milk, and eggs at rates comparable to conventional feeds. In China, water hyacinth has been used as pig feed for decades. In India, it supplements cattle diets during dry seasons when other forage is scarce. In Africa, it feeds goats in communities where commercial feed is unaffordable. The feed industry generates over $500 billion annually. They sell processed grains, protein supplements, and manufactured feeds at prices that make livestock production increasingly unaffordable for small farmers. Meanwhile, a plant that produces free high-protein feed faster than any crop ever cultivated is classified as an enemy. Small farmers cannot buy water hyacinth feed. They cannot be customers for it. And products that cannot create customers do not receive industry support. They receive eradication campaigns. Number 4. The biofuel they ignored. This is where the suppression becomes undeniable. Water hyacinth produces more biomass per acre than any biofuel crop currently cultivated. The numbers are not even close. Corn, the dominant biofuel feedstock, produces roughly 4 tons of dry biomass per acre annually. Water hyacinth produces 50 to 100 tons. The energy content of that biomass converts to biogas through anaerobic digestion. It converts to ethanol through fermentation. It converts to direct combustion fuel through drying. Every pathway works. Researchers have documented water hyacinth biogas production rivaling purpose-grown energy crops. A plant that requires no land, no fertilizer, no irrigation. No cultivation produces 10 to 25 times more biomass than crops that require all of those inputs. The biofuel industry receives billions in government subsidies. Those subsidies flow to corn, to soybeans, to crops that require purchasing seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and equipment. Crops that create customers at every stage of production. Water hyacinth creates no customers. It grows without permission. It requires no inputs. It cannot be patented or controlled. A biofuel source that makes the subsidy structure irrelevant is not an opportunity. It is a threat to everyone profiting from the current system. The research proving water hyacinth's biofuel potential exists. It was published. It was verified. It was never implemented because implementation would have redirected billions away from industries that depend on your energy dependence. Number 5. The fertilizer in your waterways. Stay with me because this changes everything about how you should see this plant. Water hyacinth is an extraordinary fertilizer source. The same nutrient absorption that makes it effective at water purification makes it a nutrient-dense organic material. When composted, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, the 3 numbers on every fertilizer bag. Water hyacinth accumulates all 3 from the water it purifies. When composted, water hyacinth produces a soil amendment with NPK values comparable to commercial organic fertilizers. The math becomes absurd when you follow it through. This plant removes polluting nutrients from water that would otherwise cause algal blooms and dead zones. It concentrates those nutrients in its tissues. It can then be harvested and returned to agricultural land as fertilizer. The pollution becomes the solution. The waste becomes the input. The problem funds its own resolution. This is circular economy in its purest form. Nature solving problems by converting them into resources. The synthetic fertilizer industry generates over $200 billion annually. They mine phosphorus from depleting reserves. They manufacture nitrogen using fossil fuels. They ship these products globally, adding carbon emissions at every step. Water hyacinth offers a local, renewable, free alternative that simultaneously solves water pollution. The industry that profits from synthetic fertilizer cannot allow this alternative to reach public awareness. So they funded the narrative that water hyacinth is a menace. They never mention what that menace could replace. Number 6. The edible plant they called poison. This is the part most people do not know. Water hyacinth is edible, not marginally, not as a survival food. actively nutritious, and traditionally consumed in multiple cultures. In Taiwan, water hyacinth is a vegetable. The young leaves and stems are eaten stir-fried. They are added to soups. They appear in markets alongside conventional produce. In the Philippines, water hyacinth has been eaten for generations. Traditional preparations treat it as a standard leafy green. In Southeast Asia, the flowers are eaten raw in salads or cooked into dishes. The nutritional profile supports these traditional uses. Water hyacinth leaves contain protein, fiber, vitamins A and C, and various minerals. The plant that governments call a menace has fed communities for longer than those governments have existed. But here is the important qualifier. Water hyacinth absorbs whatever is in the water it grows in. From clean water, it produces clean food. From polluted water, it absorbs those pollutants. This makes water hyacinth a bioindicator. Its edibility depends entirely on water quality. In clean ponds, it is food. In contaminated waterways, it is a remediation tool that should not be eaten. The food industry cannot sell water hyacinth because they cannot control its growing conditions. They cannot package it, they cannot brand it, they cannot profit from it. So they made sure you believe it is poison rather than recognize it as food that simply requires clean growing conditions. Number 7. How a flower became an enemy. The history explains everything. In 1884, water hyacinth arrived in the United States as an ornamental plant. Visitors to the World Cotton Centennial in New Orleans received specimens as gifts. They took them home. They planted them in garden ponds. The flower was beautiful, purple blossoms floating on water. Victorians loved exotic botanical displays. No one imagined what would happen next. The plants escaped cultivation. They found their way into Louisiana waterways. They discovered an environment with no natural controls, and they exploded. By the 1890s, water hyacinth was clogging rivers in Florida. By the 1900s, it was blocking navigation channels across the South. By the 1950s, it had spread to every continent except Antarctica. Governments declared war. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers attacked it with herbicides, with mechanical harvesters, with biological controls imported from South America. Billions of dollars have been spent attempting to eradicate a plant that refuses to be eradicated. But here's the question no one in authority asks. Why is it thriving? Water hyacinth explodes in nutrient-rich water. Agricultural runoff, sewage discharge, fertilizer pollution. The plant is not the disease. The plant is the symptom of water bodies poisoned by human activity. Every waterway choked with water hyacinth is a waterway overloaded with the nutrients that modern agriculture and urbanization dump into ecosystems. Killing the plant does not address the pollution. It simply removes the organism that was trying to clean it up. The billions spent on eradication have never addressed why the plant thrives. Because addressing that would mean confronting agricultural practices, sewage systems, and fertilizer runoff. It is easier to blame the plant than to fix the system poisoning the water. Number 8. The real reason for the ban. Now you have enough information to understand what actually happened. Water hyacinth threatens industries, water treatment, a $73 billion industry made redundant by a plant that filters for free, animal feed, a $500 billion industry challenged by free high-protein forage, biofuel, billions in subsidies flowing to crops that produce a fraction of water hyacinth's output, fertilizer, a $200 billion industry replaceable by composted water plants. Total industries threatened, approximately $800 billion annually. The plant also threatens infrastructure. It clogs waterways. It blocks hydroelectric intakes. It impedes navigation. These are real problems that cost real money to manage. But notice how the solution was framed. The plant is the enemy. Destroy it, not the pollution is the enemy. Stop it, not the plant is a resource. Harvest it, destroy it, eradicate it, ban it. The framing that protects polluters and industries simultaneously, kill the symptom, ignore the cause, continue profiting from the systems that created the problem. Water hyacinth bans protect the status quo. They do not protect ecosystems. They protect the industries that profit from pollution and the industries that would lose revenue to a plant that solves problems for free. Number 9. What other countries actually do. While Western nations spend billions on eradication, other countries quietly harvest. In China, water hyacinth is managed through utilization. Farmers harvest it for pig feed. Municipalities process it for biogas. The problem becomes a resource stream that employs people and produces value. In Bangladesh, water hyacinth is woven into furniture. The dried stems create a material similar to wicker, chairs, tables, baskets, decorative items, an entire craft industry built on what other nations poison with herbicides. In India, water hyacinth paper exists. The fibers process into a paper product that reduces pressure on timber forests, a pollution problem converted into a deforestation solution. In Kenya, water hyacinth briquettes provide cooking fuel. Dried and compressed water, hyacinth burns comparably to charcoal. Communities that once struggled with fuel costs now harvest it from local waterways. In the Philippines, water hyacinth leather alternatives are being developed. The processed fibers create materials that substitute for animal leather in bags, shoes, and accessories. None of these solutions require the plant to be illegal. All of them require the plant to be seen as a resource rather than an enemy. The difference between a weed and a crop is often simply whether someone has figured out how to sell it. Water hyacinth cannot be easily sold. It grows faster than it can be commodified, and that is precisely why it is classified as a threat. Here's how this works. The algorithm is watching right now. It is deciding whether this reaches 100 people or 100,000. That decision is based almost entirely on what happens in the next 30 seconds. If you hit like, you are telling the system this matters. If you share this with someone who still believes every invasive species story they read, you just opened a vault that was locked by industries protecting billions in revenue. And if you subscribe and hit the bell, you are not following a channel. You are joining a list of people who refuse to accept propaganda disguised as environmental science. The next vault is already prepared. There is a tree that produces 92 nutrients, more protein than milk, more calcium than dairy, more iron than spinach. The pharmaceutical industry generates $1.4 trillion annually, selling what this tree produces in its leaves. That vault opens soon. Subscribe so you are there when it does. The system that taught you to fear abundance requires your ignorance to function. The industries that profit from scarcity need you to believe solutions are threats. We are dismantling that narrative one plant at a time. The next vault opens soon.